Do you ever just find something on the internet and you go, hey, that's really cool, and then you notice that like no one else knows about this thing, and you just want to tell everyone, and now it's 5 years later and still it's real. Today's shout out is not for a game, it's actually for a YouTube channel that I absolutely love. This channel is called the Eggbuster, and it features a guy named Austin, and he runs a show called Eggbusters, and basically what they do is they do like, well, he picks a game and he does glitches in it, and instead of like those normal glitch shows where they show you the glitch, Eggbusters is unique in that it shows you the struggle of getting those glitches to work.
Go! It'd have been really nice if we got it on the first try today, but we didn't, because it never works that way. I just want this one to work. How about oh, come on, come on.
And it's not just that. That's like a unique thing about Eggbusters, but it's not just that. There's lots of interesting things that happen throughout the show, but I'm not gonna tell you all about that. You have to go and watch the show. I'll have the link to his channel in the description. First link in the description. Go check it out. Lots of fun. Now let's get into my episode of my show, Classic Saturdays, Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow, Green, Orange, Purple. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, welcome to this video. If you've just stumbled across my channel, you just stumbled across this video, welcome, I hope you enjoy yourself. This is the third episode of Classic Saturdays. Last episode we covered The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, and the first episode we covered Super Mario 64, and this episode we are covering the first generation of Pokemon, Pokemon Red, Blue, Green, and Yellow. So this should be a really fun episode. There's not really much I have to say here. Apart from the fact we're almost at 150 subscribers. We'll probably be there by the time this video is released. But yeah, I'm really happy. We only just got to 100 like a month ago, so this is just insane, the amount of growth I've been getting. I know I don't have million subscribers, and I probably never will, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to just entertain a few people. That's all I need. So I thank you so much for sticking by me, giving me support, subscribing to the channel, liking the video. It's so helpful. So thank you everybody. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe if you want. You don't have to, that's fine. But yeah, this video should be a fun one. Let's get started. You've been fooled, you've been bamboozled, I'm changing up the format. That's right, we're having the review first. People have said if I put the review first, they'd actually prefer it that way. And, you know, it's always good to listen to feedback. And personally, I think that's actually a pretty cool idea. So, let's just do that. Whether it's because you've been yelled at for trading Pokemon cards at school, or because you wake up every single morning just to watch the Pokemon cartoon and see what Ash and his friends get up to next, you've heard of Pokemon, but I'm not here to talk about either of those things. I'm here to talk about what started it all, the very first Pokemon video games. Generation 1, Pokemon Red, Blue, and Green, and a bit later on Yellow. Yellow's a bit of an exception, but we'll talk about that later. Green was also the Japanese version, and Blue was released in North America and Europe, so if you've never heard of Green, or you happen to be viewing for some strange reason from Japan and you've never heard of Blue, that's why. Going straight into this review, the game is incredibly unique. It's an RPG, it borrows RPG elements from previous games, but it introduces new things such as having 150, wink wink, monsters called Pokemon, and Pokemon are basically these, like, well, they're monsters, they're called pocket monsters. And they're characters that the main character can capture, and then they can battle other characters with that. And the game revolves around you going on a journey, collecting different Pokemon, leveling them up like you would in a normal RPG, and going through a series of bosses or gym leaders in their respective gyms and trying to beat the Pokemon League champion. That's basically what the game is about. There is a story with Team Rocket, which are basically Pokemon thugs. They'll steal Pokemon, and they're terrible people. That's the story. That's a pretty vague explanation of the story. But if I talk about the story, you get it spoiled, so we don't want to talk about that. But yeah, when you just look at those 151 Pokemon, most of them are pretty unique, and the fact that it runs on a normal Game Boy really impresses me. As well as that, the gameplay is a lot of fun. You basically, to enter a wild battle against a wild Pokemon, you walk through tall grass or other things, like you can surf in the water and you'll encounter a water Pokemon, and then you'll enter a fight with that Pokemon, where you can do a few things. You can run away from that battle, you can run from the Pokemon if your Pokemon that you're using to fight it is a high enough level. If not, you won't run away. Your Pokemon will be scared and they'll stay frozen in place. You can try and fight the wild Pokemon and get it down to low health or knock it out, or you can get it down to lower health and try and capture the Pokemon. And that's where the beauty of the game lies, capturing the Pokemon, taking them. You can only have 6 in the party at the time, but you capture Pokemon, you use them, you train them, and you really they feel like pets, to be honest. Like, it's really rewarding when you get that Pokemon that you've been traveling with since Viridian Forest to level 100. It's one of the most rewarding things you can do. The game knows how to reward you. As well as that, the game has a lot of items that can be used, such as, well, the most obvious being the Pokeballs, which are used to capture Pokemon, but there's also the potions for healing, all that kind of stuff. There's key items like the bike. Yes, there's a bike. Isn't that great? They thought of everything. So the gameplay of this game is just really good. The controls, being the first game in a series, well, it's not going to have the best controls on the planet. But to be honest, I was playing it on an emulator, all just to be clear. I wasn't playing this on original Game Boy. I have played the original Game Boy version, I just couldn't record it. So playing on the Game Boy, it does feel a little bit finicky. Just mainly the Game Boy's fault, not the actual game's fault. But playing on an emulator with a keyboard actually feels really nice, and I was surprised just how responsive the movement is. And yeah, the controls, even to this day, feel fairly modern. I mean, it's not analog movement or anything like Sun and Moon has, but it feels just like you could release a game like that, just update the graphics a little bit, and you'd make loads of money. Oh wait. Now, I think that sums up the gameplay part of the game, but we can't have a Classic Saturdays review without talking about the music. And normally, we've only done Nintendo games up to this point. Don't worry, next episode's on Sonic. We'll have a break from Nintendo. And then right after that we're doing Half-Life, so we get a Nintendo break. But I praise Nintendo's music, and the music in this game is no exception. You can put on the Pokemon Red, Blue, and Green soundtrack, and every time you listen to it, it'll sound amazing. With the Game Boy's limited hardware as well, take that into account, and you listen to that music, it sounds instantly better when you know how hard it would have been to create something like that on such limited hardware. Actually, just playing a game like this on such limited hardware amazes me. Every time I turn the game on, I'm like, wow, this was made on a Game Boy. And I think the music is just a great way to explain that. Things like the main theme or the Pokemon battle themes, all of those themes, they sound really good, but there are a few themes I don't want to talk about because they actually spoil the game. But if you go listen to the soundtrack, you'll really enjoy it, I promise. There's a track in there for everyone. Lavender Town as well, that's a really good one. But yeah, music, fantastic. But as we know, no game can be perfect most of the time. This game does have a few faults. It does feel very repetitive sometimes, especially later on in the game where you have to fight some pretty high level enemies. going back and just slowly leveling up your current Pokemon can take a very long time and involves a lot of backtracking, and that can really bore people like me. I don't know, you might not have a problem with it, but personally, I don't enjoy doing that in games, and you don't have to do that as much in the new games, which I kind of like. I think it's not, they've completely removed it in the new games, which kind of bothers me, because I don't mind a little bit of backtracking and grinding, but in this game, for me, it took a lot of grinding to get up to the point where I could beat those enemies. So that's, I think, one of the drawbacks for me for this game. Also, it glitches out a little bit, which I'm not gonna detract like a score for that, because to be honest, what do you expect? It's running on a Game Boy. It's not the strongest hardware, and it was the first game in the series, and a lot of those glitches were patched later on, so you know, you can't really take a score away from that, but that can happen sometimes, just a warning. I'm not gonna that doesn't affect my opinion, I'm just saying that's a thing that can happen. Yeah, there's not too much that I really dislike about the game. There are a few minor nitpicks, but I don't really want to talk about them because I could nitpick for days on end about anything, and I would never stop. So overall, I give Red, Blue, and Green, the very first Pokemon games, a good 9.78 out of 10. Okay, well I think that's a pretty good spot to end the review. Now we're going to move on to development, a very interesting part of the episode. Okay, I don't know if you can hear this right now, but let me just take my mic over to my window. There's a bird on a tree right outside, and it won't shut up, and I can't record. Can you hear that? It's really annoying. Alright, bird's gone. This is where I'll be talking about the development for Pokemon Red, Blue, and Green, and I'll also explain Pokemon Yellow later on in this segment, so you'll finally get some closure as to what the hell's going on with Pokemon Yellow. Our story begins with a man named Satoshi Tajiri. This guy basically created Pokemon, but the way he was inspired is fairly interesting. As a kid, he enjoyed collecting insects, but as his city, the area he lived in, started to become more urbanized, and the insect population as a result started to decline, and kids were playing inside instead of outside looking for bugs, he decided, alright, let's make a video game about collecting animals or bugs to resemble how he used to collect bugs all the time in his city. So that's basically where the idea for Pokemon stemmed from. Tajiri thought that the Game Boy would be perfect, would be the perfect system for this new game, as the Game Boy has a cable called the Game Link cable, which allows data to be transferred between two Game Boys. And he thought that a really cool concept would be if you could take a Pokemon from one game and trade it with your friend and put it into their game, and you would get something from theirs as well. And this was one of the other ideas that really solidified Pokemon, was the battling without really like full-on violence, and the trading aspect of it. And I think it was perfect because when he approached Nintendo about this, Miyamoto was like, alright, trading's really cool, but if no one's gonna buy the game, they're not gonna trade it. So Miyamoto suggested, why don't we have two versions, Pokemon Red and Pokemon Green? So if you want to trade, people will probably buy the two versions so people can trade. And when the game did finally hit shelves in 1996, it worked. Miyamoto's suggestions worked and sold millions of copies. And I think that Shigeru Miyamoto, if you want to make a game, you ask him, hey, is this a good idea? And if he says yes, it's a good idea. If he says no, it's not a good idea. Actually, if you want an answer to anything, just ask Shigeru Miyamoto. He'll sort it out for you. So with these core concepts in mind, Tajiri funded the game using his former company, well, current company. It's called Game Freak, and it used to be a magazine publishing thing. They did their own game magazines, and he changed it to a game development company, which he then used to fund the game. and they teamed up with Creatures Incorporated and started working on the game. After a few years, they showed it off to Nintendo, and as we all know, Nintendo ended up releasing the game on the Game Boy as Pokemon Red and Green in Japan and Pokemon Red and Blue in the US. And in 1998, Pokemon Yellow came along. Now, the reason for Pokemon Yellow is in 1997, the Pokemon cartoon or anime was started, in which Ash, Pikachu, Misty, and Brock all travel around Kanto, going on the adventure that Red goes in the first generation games. But when people see the anime first and they pick up the game, the original games, they're like, where's Ash? Where's Ash? Why can't I pick Pikachu? Why do I have Charizard, Bulbasaur, and Squirtle? So, realizing this, Game Freak decided, let's make a version that's more close to the anime. So we got Pokemon Yellow, also known as the Special Pikachu version, which stars Ash with Gary Oak instead of Blue, and you start with Pikachu as your starter, and it's basically just more true to the anime. Team Rocket is Jesse and James and Meowth. They make a small cameo. So yeah, it's all like that, and I think it works perfectly. I don't think most people prefer Red and Blue over Yellow, but hey, if you ever want one that's more close to the anime, Yellow is the way to go. Once the game was finally released in 1996, it had a massive effect which no one could have predicted, and that's what I'm about to talk about. Normally the release and sales segment is fairly boring, but this one is actually pretty interesting. Once Pokemon Red, Blue, and Green finally hit shelves in Japan on the 27th of February 1996, North America and other regions received the games after September 28th, 1998. They went on to start something now known as Pokemania, where the whole world genuinely went crazy over Pokemon, causing the brand to skyrocket in popularity and go on to make a cartoon, which is still in production to this day, numerous movies, thousands of different toys, and a trading card game. But most importantly of all, new games in the Pokemon franchise. The effects of Pokemania can still be felt to this day, with Pikachu still being one of the most recognizable video game characters on the planet, along with Sonic and Mario. This has caused the original generation of Pokemon games to sell roughly 59,520,000 copies, and generate billions of dollars for the company. All of this success was met with a lot of controversy, however, with numerous news outlets accusing Nintendo of brainwashing kids to become murderers, etc. You know the drill.
Latest video game craze is Fortnite. It's free, addictive, violent, and kids love it. Should you be worried?
Personally, I think Pokemon's success story is one of the most amazing in the history of video games, and I'm amazed at how the series still pulls in millions of fans to this day. Good job, Nintendo. Hell yes, I got that in one take. Oh my god, that's amazing. And here we are, the end of episode 3 of Classic Saturdays. I hope you enjoyed watching this as much as I did making it, and I'll see you in the next episode, Classic Saturdays, Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2. See you then. If you would like to support these videos and my channel and my life, I have a Patreon. You can go pledge to that. I currently have one patron. Thank you very much. Ultras, name on screen. Thank you very much. Go pledge to me on Patreon if you want to help. Follow me on Twitter, you'll get updated to when I'm making new videos because YouTube isn't doing too well at doing that right now. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say, and I can't wait till the next episode, and neither can you. Bye.